Health and happiness, everyone. Welcome to the Strength and Motion Show, an online experience curated specifically for the members and fans and strength of... Oh, that one's also a
Fuck, that was a good shot. That got me.
Health and happiness, everyone. Welcome to the Strength and Motion Show, an online experience curated specifically for the members and fans of Strength and Motion Academy. If you haven't heard of our space before, we are a 24/7 gym in Midvale, Western Australia, and our goal is to provide a space where people can build a strong and mobile body using a functional and holistic health approach to training and life. If this is your first time listening to the show, then thank you for tuning in, and I strongly encourage you to get stuck into our first 5 episodes. These first 5 are a complete deep dive into hashtag the holistic way, which is our 4-pillar approach to achieving health and fitness mastery. As experienced health and fitness coaches, we have identified movement, nutrition, sleep, and stress as the 4 key areas to always prioritize in order to live healthy and happy. You can do so by simply scrolling to the beginning of this episode list or search the Strength and Motion Show on YouTube and Facebook. Today is a very fun episode, which actually we've just finished recording as of a couple of minutes ago. Which is also the first time in the show that we have actually filmed our introduction, after filming the show, after recording, because the topics that we talked about, we covered are why is it important to have habits and practices in life and how many is too many. Yep. We also discussed purpose and meaning, what it's like to have no purpose and meaning, and how someone can actually find a sense of purpose and meaning. And lastly, top 3 habits. What are Nav's top 3 habits for life? What are Josh's top 3 habits for life? And that was a really interesting discussion that came as a result of pulling topics out of, we didn't even have a hat. We just had...
Off of a desk.
We just had, what we've done with this episode is we've taken... a list of different topics that we think will be fun to talk about and also very helpful for the audience to gain a lot of insight over. Yep. And what we've done is we've just given ourselves the flexibility to allow the conversation to flow without being too structured. And we've just navigated through 3 primary topics, and that leaves us with like 8 more left over because... Yeah.
Josh wrote a lot.
Yeah, I wrote a lot. Yeah, I told Nav, I was like, right,
three only.
3 only.
Comes with 9.
But I got stressed. I was like, what if we run out of topics? We need some backup. So we hope you enjoy this new format. And if all goes well, we're going to keep doing a lot of this format as well. So let's fade into the actual show.
Yep.
Enjoy, everyone.
No intro.
Yeah, no intro. No intro. Okay.
The pattern has been broken.
The pattern's been broken.
Yeah.
So boom, 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 boom. From there, intro, segue, transition. So as we always start every single episode, Nav.
Yeah.
What's new in the life of you?
Something personal, but I'm not going to open up about that yet.
Not yet?
Not yet,
oh,
yeah.
I was wondering if we go through that.
Yeah, no, I thought about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I guess the starting of the year very intentionally upon my time. Time's been one that's come up for me a lot, and we're having a discussion earlier about how much time to work and hustle and what have you, and the balance between personal life and work and everything else. And for me, I want to spend this year really isolating time and exploring time and how much time do I feel fulfilled putting into business, and how much time do I feel fulfilled putting into my personal life, and then the quantity of time, but also the quality of it as well. So I guess everything's encompassed by that right now. And everything else in between is just the standard work, training, relationships, trying to make all area of my life flourish and have purpose for me anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about yourself?
Yeah, I suppose I'm like, do I talk about personal things as well? What's like, well, the things that I chatted to you about before we started recording are actually the things that are quite alive within me right now. The main thing is something I'm like on the edge of hitting up one of my old business mentors for just his own perspective on it, but is that like when I get home from work, I feel anxious if I'm not working. And then if I choose to I feel anxious if I'm not working. I feel anxious if I am working. Because if I go home and work, I'm like, I probably shouldn't be working right now. I should be doing something relaxing.
Yeah.
But then I do something relaxing, and I'm like, maybe I should be working. And so that dialogue's still quite strong. That conversation is quite a daily thing, and it's because I've got big ambitions, big goals, and I want to be achieving all of those. But as I mentioned, like I don't want to build my success on a life where I'm working 80 hours a week. And the reason I'm choosing to not work when I get home is because I've already worked the whole fucking day anyway. However, because there's that urgency, that desire to want to do things, I want to achieve things, that's still driving me to want to get shit done. However, I also want to have a fulfilling relationship. I also want to be able to have good family time when I do get into that phase of life. And so it makes sense that I start living that life now. So I'm attuning myself to it. But then the space is always there. Then the space is always there for that person to come right in. So that's definitely a thing that I'm dancing with on a daily basis as well. And then on a personal note, there is a lovely lady in my life that that we're both trying to figure out.
Sorry, ladies.
Yeah. I'm off the market temporarily, so it could be permanently. We'll see how we go. But this is a very fascinating situation because this is a person that I met overseas when I traveled to Bali recently. That was my first holiday since starting the gym. So it was almost 8 years was that my first holiday in almost 8 years. But then a couple of weeks later I had to go to a Bucks weekend in Thailand, and then she came over and met me in Thailand. So she definitely likes me. She's willing to travel that far. And we've spent 2 weeks together in 2 different countries, but then we're kind of like, okay, what are we doing here? What's going on here? And I was having a bit of a moment a couple of weeks ago where I was just feeling shit. And I was like, why do I feel so sad? And I'm like, well, I want to be with her, but I also don't want to put myself in a situation that I'm putting love on the other side into another country. It's not a situation I want to be in. And that was already started to bring up pain and previous pain from other relationships and other experiences, which has brought the walls up. And so I called her up and told her the situation. She was like, actually, I'm feeling the exact same thing. You've got your business, you've got that going on. I'm still like in travel mode. Why don't I come see you? And I'm like, fucking oath do that. Like if you're willing to do that, like that means a lot. And it shows great signs that she's willing to, like she's already that committed and she trusts me enough to then make that commitment. She's literally flown to Thailand. Now she's literally flying. She's changing she doesn't really have a schedule, but she's changing a whole schedule She's
creating a schedule.
She's creating a schedule to navigate around me. But just as much as I'm trying to gauge her to be like, is this worth putting myself through long distance? Because like, is this worth going through the challenges that inevitably come with long distance? Yeah. And she's also like, is this guy worth going through the challenges of inevitably like doing the long distance as well? So, we're just we're literally taking it step by step, and she'll be over in a couple of weeks, and then I'll have to take another week off work and spend some time with her. So
yeah, lovely.
Yeah, we'll see how we go. So definitely even anxious about that as well. Just fucking anxious everywhere.
Lucky you know how to self-regulate.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, I'm fucking all over.
I heard about that in a podcast somewhere.
Yeah,
self-regulation.
Must have been episode 15 of the Strength and Motion show. All right, everyone. Yes. So as you've, so this is also fun to talk about, is that I'm going to be mentioning the same things twice, but this is a new episode format, which is something we've always discussed doing, and this is the first time rolling with it. And also, even though the listeners that are listening to this right now, or the viewers on YouTube, they would have actually heard the intro to this episode before we've started talking. But actually, as of this moment, we haven't even done our intro yet. Yeah. So, but as we know, we've got a couple of pieces of paper in front of us, and we're going to start picking. Well,
some more than others.
Yeah. So the rule was, I said, bring three topics each. So I wrote 10. Well, I made a whole list, but then I put I only put 8 in front of me, so we had to separate them so we know everyone's little topic. But do you want to take a pick of whichever?
I want to go with one of yours, if that's cool.
Yeah, go.
I'm hell intrigued to see what's come out of your bucket of things.
The bucket of juice.
Cool, awesome. So, why is it important to have habits and practices in life, and how many is too many?
Ooh,
that's a great question. Hey?
Yeah. Do you know where that came from? Is that I told myself that I'm going to go for a float after every single podcast now, because after we did our silent retreat, which for the listeners, Navarre and I, we did our own self-facilitated silent retreat. I think, did we talk about it in our December episode, in the anxiety episode? We're going to go on it.
Surely we would. Oh, I don't remember, to be honest.
Maybe you should listen to the episode 15 listeners of the episode.
So we had a lot to talk about.
We did have a lot to talk
we
about.
Probably just got on topic.
We could definitely jump back onto that as well. Delve deeper.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I told myself that after doing the silent retreat where we spent a couple of days in silence and we're meditating regularly, that that is a practice that I need to have into my life. And then I'm like, well, fuck, like there's so many moments where I just can't be fucked having like going for a 60-minute meditation. And then, excuse me, obviously I can't go for a float today because I've just got my kneecap tattooed, which I'd love to be able to show the audience, but I can't. So jump on my Instagram somewhere, there'll be a photo of my kneecap that's just been tattooed. So I can't get in the water, but I'm already fighting those that like, I can't be fucked. Like, even though I'm not going for a float today, I'm like, I actually probably can't be fucked going for a float. But I told myself that I would be doing a 60-minute meditation at lunchtime on a Saturday. And then like, that's a hard boundary. I'm like, we stop working at 12 because I just keep working too much, as I just discussed. So I need to put that. So I have that 60-minute meditation to turn myself off. However, I'm going to skip that on the weekend that we do the podcast because I'm not finishing work at 12. I'm finishing work at like 3:30. So I can roll to the float studio here. But I've noticed that as I've rolled into the new year, I've set all these habits out for me because past Josh is setting a template for future Josh to abide by. But then as it's always gone, I've put in these habits and practices in place, which are helping keeping myself refined. However, that brings a whole new level of stress because I'm trying to achieve so many habits and I'm trying to fit so many things in my day where there are moments where it actually becomes unproductive and it's a more resourceful decision. It's a better use of my time and energy and maybe money at the time to actually skip habits that I've set myself out to do and make sure that so I can do the actual thing that's actually the most important thing. But then on the other side to that, I find myself in situations where I'm like I'll get a massage, for example, and I'm like, fuck, I should have done this last week. Like I should get these things every single week. Why do I keep forgetting to do these? And so, I really wanted to talk about the balance between like where do you find what is right and how do you is it the right word to say, how do you appropriate the right habits in inevitably different phases of life as well. And what's selfish and what's not selfish. These are things that I'm literally going through, which is why it's a topic because I'm like, maybe I can just talk about my problems on on the show.
Welcome to podcasting. Yeah, it's good. It makes me think. So I guess the first question is, why is it important to have habits and practices? The first thing that goes to my mind is that we don't determine whether habits are real or not. They're just there anyway. Habits are present regardless. Like we have a subconscious mind, a subconscious self that is on autopilot, and that's how it's meant to be. We can't be conscious of everything all the time. If we go off of the rule that you could only have in one moment consciously think about 5 plus or minus 2 bits of information in a moment. So that's only from 3 to 7 bits of information in a singular moment. Then if we know that's our conscious mind, we know that what drives us is our subconscious mind, the unconscious, and what is just the smart computer that's behind us or under us or whatever you want to identify it as, that then drives our movements or drives our actions. Because we can't always every single time be like, okay, now I'm going to step forward my left foot. And then step forward my right foot or take this turn on the way home. So that's the first thing is like, it's not, I guess it's important because for me, it's already present. And so I could either be on autopilot in an unresourceful way that doesn't bring me to my goals or to my purpose or has meaning to me, or I could create habits that have meaning, that have purpose, that drive me towards my desires and what I want, to my vision and my mission in life. And that's what happened to me, in my darkest days and my biggest challenges in life. I was unconsciously being driven by my unconscious, by my subconscious. And unfortunately, due to environment, nature, nurture, everything in my history, I then moved down into, I became this being that was self-sabotaging and going down negative roads that then create depression and suicide and no meaning, and life became really dark. And so like for me, that's why it's important. It's to create meaning, it's to create purpose, and to drive the habits in a way that has meaning and purpose to me.
Yeah, it makes a great point. I love having these conversations because they remind me of things that I've been forgetting that I knew already.
Yeah.
And which helps me kind of even answer this question within myself, is that Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it might actually be the second, but it's either the first or second habit is to be proactive. Be proactive, not reactive. And so because as you mentioned, like habits are happening no matter what. They are a function of human existence. They are just, I wouldn't call them a function, they're an expression of human existence. And so either your habits drive you or you drive your habits. And the only way to drive your own habits is to be proactive about it. And I think it comes down to the choice of like, do we want to be an effective person or do we not want to be an effective person? Because we don't have to, but if we do have dreams and aspirations and we do want to see certain things come into fruition in our futures, then we obviously have to grab hold of our own steering wheel of life and then start creating that direction. And in order to create that direction, we then need to set some sort of intentional habits that are going to lock us in that direction so that we don't keep like waving ourselves around. And so I guess the next question is, if someone's sitting there like, okay, yeah, that's a great point. I actually do want to be proactive, and I do want to be like, I identify as a
cucumber.
You can just see my brain just going I'm like, if you identify as an effective person, then the next question is like, okay, so how many habits are too many habits? And then how strict on myself do I be? Because if I am trying to create the life of my dreams, and I am aware, as I've recently become aware of it, you can't really create the life of your dreams from a place of pain. It just things don't fall into place when the individual is in pain. People aren't attracted to a person in pain. Some people want to help a person in pain, but if you're trying to be proactive, you're also being reactive to your own feelings and emotions. And so, how would you help guide someone in picking the appropriate amount of habits and the appropriate amount of like bumpers or blinkers to stop them shifting direction?
Yeah. So I guess the question is, how many habits are you consciously trying to focus on in a moment?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's like countless amount of habits that we've being subjected to in every moment.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like, what habits are we focusing on right now in this moment that's taking conscious effort to try and develop and to feed? Yeah, it's a good question. I would assume it's mainly, I think there will probably be an average. Like even if we look at 5 bits of information, give or take 2, I would say that's probably a really good realm. And that's where most people talk about like only have 3 habits on the go or only have 5. Like even our SMA app, it recommends 5 is a really good, 3 to 5 is a really good limit.
3 to 5, I don't do, with my clients, I don't do any more than 3 just to get started.
I agree, which kind of like segues into the next point that I was getting to, is then I think it's really specific to the individual. I think it's also like our resilience and where we're at in life, our relationship with habits and forming habits and ego death and the death rebirth sort of cycle. And so if someone's really resilient and understanding of that and they find power in that, then someone might be able to have 10 habits on the go that they're conscious of on a day-to-day basis and they're hitting every single day. I would say that's certainly there. And then it's just the edge that you're talking about, right? It's like, what is your edge of like, you definitely want to push your edge, but then how far do you want to lean into? Are you leaning so far that you're falling off a cliff and crashing and then you're burning all the time?
What's your thoughts on like clustering habits as well? As in like, for example, a morning routine is something that we do often in the gym is if someone's trying to we're trying to introduce new habits into them. One of the habits that I make them do is a morning routine, but then that morning routine itself is also a series of habits. It might even be 5 or 6 things to do depending on, because like part of the habits that I put in many people's morning routines is just like make themselves a coffee. I'm like, make that a habit because you're technically doing it already, but you're just doing that in sequence with exposing yourself to some cold water, drinking some fluids before you start drinking coffee, making sure that you're very conscious of where you put your focus on your phone, for example. Most people grab their phone. I'm like, just try and hold that out, like the whole 30 to 60 minutes of airplane mode from the moment you wake up, just so that you can invite the appropriate information into the mind. You can start the mind with information about you and your life and your day before you start bringing in the world of social media and things.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on clustering habits as well? And especially with someone who's a beginner, how would you navigate that?
Yeah, it's funny enough. What's coming up in my mind is the conversation with Hormozy and Aubrey Marcus.
Oh yeah,
and they talk about building traits, and then you go and Hormozy talks about how you could say if the trait that you want to build is communication and like charisma, right? If the trait is charisma, then the skills underneath that to build charisma. Some people be like, well, I'm not born charismatic. I'm not a charismatic person. You go, okay, well, could you nod and give eye contact when you're in conversation with someone? Yeah. Cool, no problem. Now you've built a skill that clusters to create that trait or charisma. And I see that with most things. I think if you can do that in life, it adds the chunking up and chunking down. So I think from like a philosophical sort of matter, like you could look at clustering habits in that matter as well. So you have the chunking up where you look at the overall picture of, I'm trying to create a morning discipline for the purpose of building the trait of discipline, of building self-growth and what have you, like the deeper purpose behind it. And then like you mentioned, what are the skills internally within that, like brushing your teeth or having cold therapy or having a sauna, whatever it is that allows you to bunch into that. And I think it's easier seeing things that way as well because it has a greater picture. I've certainly lost my, and I'm sure you're the same, we all the same, right? Where we would have a greater purpose or a mission of the work that we do. Yeah. We're like, I'm going to go to work and work my ass off to pay the bills to support my family. And then you're at work and then you get so caught up in the mundane chunking down bits that you forget there's a greater purpose. You forget that there's meaning behind what you're doing. And then that's how depression or anxiety is onset in many cases because you're losing purpose and meaning. So I think, for me, grouping it all together is a mix of creating purpose and meaning by creating a big bucket of it. And then it's just easier to be like, okay, these are like 3, instead of focusing on like 4 habits, I could focus on 1 habit, which is a morning routine, but you could fit 3 within it. I think it's easier to wire, hey.
It's a great point. And it's funny that you talk about like the chunking down or chunking up, or like what I refer to as like zoom in, zoom out. That's something that I think I need to put in as a practice in my own life is to just zoom out, like have a zoom out part of my day as a habit, because that's something that I get caught up in is in order to do things, you've got to really focus on the task at hand and nothing else. But there's moments where when that task at hand gets challenging, then because I'm so focused on the task at hand, I forget why I'm doing it and I forget what the importance of it is. And then if I forget about what the importance is, then I just start to, maybe I just fucking stop doing it and do something else or something. And something I do miss a lot. And something that I'm missing in my own daily practice is just to kind of review the direction of life that I'm going, because then when I zoom out, I'm like, okay, this is what I want to be doing this week, next week, and for the month and the year and 5 years and 10 years, just because I'm like, oh, that's right. I am actually intentionally grinding through certain phases or parts of my day because this is what's necessary for me to guide myself on this path. But then when I'm like, why am I fucking working so hard all the time? And I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, is this going anywhere? And then when I zoom back out, I'm like, oh, it actually is going somewhere. Like I just forgot to, and when I'm super zoomed in, it's very easy to veer left, like to veer off path.
For sure.
But not notice it because I'm like, I'm pretty sure spending 3 hours scrolling Instagram counts as research, doesn't it?
Because it does.
It technically,
it does.
Like I am researching.
Exactly, yeah.
But I'm also like...
It's not completely in alignment with the overall...
It's not in complete alignment. And if I was watching myself in third person, I'd be like, oi, like fucking get off. Like if you're gonna go on Instagram, like you go on the analytics or go look through the hashtags or do something. You're not. You fucking got your neck at a 90-degree angle with your with your phone on your chest, Josh.
Functional movement coach.
Functional movement. Do you know what happened the other day? I was like laying on my bed and I had I was just lazing around. It was actually after I just got my tattoo, so I was pretty fatigued after that tattoo session. And I was like, so I was just wearing my shorts on my bed and I had my leg up on a cushion and I had it fully like lathered with moisturizer and stuff. And I was just chilling out for a couple of hours. But I had all the cushions like holding my back up that I was like sitting on, and I was just scrolling on my phone. Like that was my intention, just to be lazy. But my phone kept it kept opening up different windows and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with my phone? Like, it's I'm trying to scroll and I'm trying to go through things and it keeps moving off. But I was resting my phone on my pec and my nipple kept pushing the back button. Couldn't tell. And I was like, why is my phone like, is someone like fucking with me? Like playing with things? Because my, I had a wedding on the weekend and I was on the dance floor and I kept dancing so hard that my phone kept falling out of my pocket.
Yeah.
And I lost my stylus. Yeah. So I thought maybe like my stylus, like when the button gets pressed on the stylus, it's got a button.
It's just out your door to him the button.
Yeah, because I've fucked with him, not recently, but maybe like 12 months ago. I've come home and I've just pulled into the driveway and I've closed the gate, and then he's just pulled in. So he's at the gate, and then so he's like opening the gate and I'm closing the gate, and he thought the gate was malfunctioning. He's like, oh, what the fuck going on with the thing? And then when it just kept opening and closing, but anyway, so I didn't even tell him that I was fucking with him. But then I was like wondering, he fucking with me now? But then he wasn't even home in time. So here's my little funny story about my my massive nipple pushing the back. It wouldn't have happened on an iPhone because iPhones don't have that. They don't have that little bottom toolbar on things.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we move on to the?
Do you want to pick one now?
Yeah,
wherever you want to go.
Get one of Nabs, I think. So, actually,
should we reset?
Yeah, let's do a camera reset, and then we'll come back to Nab. We'll do a mystery sound because that's a loop. Oh, hold on.
Do we have? Good. Yeah,
no, it's all over it. Volume's up. 3, 2, 1.
Oh.
It's a good.
I wonder how loud that is on earphones. It cuts the mic out.
Fuck. fuck. It does actually cut the mic out.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well,
no, we'll save the other one.
Okay, yeah. We need something for the future. Hey.
Fuck. I love it. I don't mind it. All right, this is the one that we're gonna roll with. What do we got here?
All right.
Purpose and meaning.
Hey.
Purpose and meaning. I actually had a somewhat of a similar question in one of my notes that I wrote. Did you separate these? Did you put these on?
What do you mean?
As in
the one that I already have?
Oh, yeah.
I just put it over here. Yeah.
I'll put this one over here.
Yeah, my 2 are separated from your 6. Yeah, 7.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, from my 12, from my things. Purpose and meaning is a very broad and open.
Correct. Yeah.
Which is good because it gives us a lot of things to focus on. Which also going back to the previous topic is, so many things are coming up about this. It really is like figuring out what's right or wrong is actually, it's only right if you reference off something.
Yeah.
So then,
and it's also something that you're perceiving to be
exactly right.
So it's also contextual and perceptual to you.
It is exactly right. Which I think what we just said in the last 60 seconds may have made absolutely no sense to somebody whatsoever. And if I do clarify what it means is someone's like, is this behavior right or is it wrong? And technically the behavior is only right if it's supportive to that person's goal.
Yeah.
So if this person's like, if one person's like eating lots of food, they're like, should I be eating lots of food? Well, if the goal is to gain weight, in many cases it is for people that are trying to build muscle and get stronger, then that's exactly what they should be doing. So in that moment, it's the right thing to be doing. But if another person's, their goal is trying to lose weight, then obviously eating too much food is actually wrong. And so what I'm getting at is that when we have a sense of purpose and a sense of meaning, it gives us a marker to reference on what is right, what is wrong. And I just love Robert Greene. Robert Greene's my favorite author. 48 Laws of Power, Mastery, Seduction, The 50th Law, Daily Laws. These are all some of his books. 33 Strategies of War. And I saw like one of his quotes recently, and it was just a part of it. He was on a podcast. He's on Tom Bilyeu's on impact theory.
Yeah.
And he was talking about do what excites you.
Yeah.
And that's been really helpful for me with some of the questions that I've been running through in my own life right now is like, should I be working or should I not be working? And I have been choosing to just, when I get home, like just do what I feel like, and then so I sometimes do a bit of chores, but mostly after I finish arguing with myself about how much I should work or not, then I actually then just chill out because I'm like, no, it's actually exciting to like chill out a little bit. And that's been really helpful for me to, kind of regain that sense of direction because I do have a sense of purpose, But also what he also talked about, which was a great reminder, is that he talks about keep challenging that and keep writing it down on it and auditing that. What is your own purpose and what is that sense of meaning? And I actually feel like because of the chapter I'm in, and there's a lot happening in my life, both in my professional and my personal life, as there's a lot of shifting and growth happening, it also has felt appropriate for me to start questioning things more and more often and questioning why I do things. And I'm actually, because of just the spark from Robert Greene, I'm actually questioning, I don't know if questioning is the right word, because questioning sounds like doubt. It's not necessarily that. I'm recalibrating my sense of meaning and my purpose to see if I'm like, okay, I still know the things I want is exactly what I want, but how could I say that more clearly, and how could I refine that more clearly? You know, I say that my biggest dream is to be a public speaker, which it is, but what kind of things do I want to speak about, and what kind of stages do I want to be on? What kind of audiences do I want to be on? And so those are the things I'm reflecting on a lot more, and that is giving me a greater sense of clarity, because I'm also, I wouldn't say I'm struggling with motivation, but when we find things in life that we really, really want, we just naturally stop at nothing to get it. And I've had that conversation with people. They're like, how do you be so motivated to do all these things? I'm like, it's because I want it. Like when you want things, you will actually stop at nothing to get that thing. If you really, really want something, most humans will find a way to make it a reality. And a lot of people are stuck, even within myself. I'm in a bit of a similar position, is that the goals or the vision we have isn't as inspiring to us as it should be to drive, as it could be to drive behavior, which means we actually don't have a great sense of purpose and meaning, or we need more clarity on that sense of purpose and meaning. And that's a space that I realize I need to step back into, is just allow myself to like uncover more of what I want and get that clearer, which is helping. What are your thoughts on purpose and meaning? And
yeah, many thoughts.
Yeah.
The reason why I did write this down is because of the silent retreat, and it was the second meditation I was sitting in, and it was the most challenging one for me, and I was enduring a lot of discomfort, and there was a lot of enduring. And then I remember enduring, and I go, what am I doing this for? Like, what is the point of this enduring, this challenge right now in this moment? And then I came up with two answers, and it was one, to help find those answers, like help find that purpose and that meaning. Because without purpose and without meaning, which I was experiencing in my dark days, there's no meaning, it's meaningless. There is no purpose. There's no energy behind it. If there's no meaning, then what's the meaning of even living? And that's what I got to. I got to that point in my life where I'm like, well, there is no meaning. And if there is no meaning, that the future has no meaning, then I might as well just leave. I might as well just leave this life. And that's kind of what happened for me. And so I understand now through that experience that that's the power of purpose. That's the power of meaning. Just like Viktor Frankl talked about in Man's Search for Meaning, it is literally life or death. Like the meaning and the purpose creates, is the difference between life or death. It creates that meaning or meaningless. And that was a big one for me. And then the second one was to build the resilience to fight the resistance that allows me to live my purpose. That, like you mentioned, if you want something so bad, you most likely move towards it. But I think the challenging part with that is, like you mentioned, you might not know what you want necessarily. You might want to be out of pain. And that's kind of where I was at. I didn't even know that there was joy or happiness or peace or feeling powerful or feeling confident or being courageous. Like I had a level of courage, but it was very much driven by pain and fear. And it got me to places, but it was still very dark. It never led me to a light that allowed me to have meaning or excitement for life. And so we can even have like a desire to want something, but it might be wanting to move from pain. And if you don't see on the other side of it, there is joy or happiness, then can you even escape that? There is no opportunity or options. And that's where the second part to that question, the second answer came in, is I endure intentionally in these practices to invest in my future, to have the resilience to then to move through the resistance, to move through the self-doubt and the limiting beliefs and the fear and the pain and all the challenges of life, the challenges I'm going to come into with business or relationships or whatever that will allow me to achieve what I want to achieve. And that's pretty much why I put that question there, because it's just been on my mind. It's been very clear for me is, I guess, the power of choosing positivity and the power of choosing purpose. It definitely, if you are right and wrong, like if it is very subjective or perceptual to you and contextual to you in that moment, you know, like someone might, like you said, if they want to lose weight, so the best opportunity most likely is to eat a certain caloric intake, right? But that individual contextually might have a limiting belief or a thought process that makes them believe the opposite. And so now that's limiting that person's ability to move forward and move through life. So it's really important to identify what does that mean to that person, just like habits. Because otherwise, like, it's steering you. Whatever meaning and purpose you have of life or a situation or something is steering you in a manner that it might be resourceful. You might not need to visit it. But if it is unresourceful, which we have unresourceful meaning and purpose, like it's no one's perfect. And so why not look into that and find ways to move through that pain and discomfort, to build resilience, to have purpose, to have joy and happiness, to choose life over death. So that's kind of where it came from for me.
Fascinating. When do you last recall, or should I say, when do you first recall when you had a sense of, like, where were you in life? What were you doing? Where were you, like, not physically, where you, like, were you your mum's house or something, where fucking McDonald's is?
It's in the womb.
I was
on the spaceship on the way to Earth.
I was on my way. But like, you know, what age were you when you first started to actually have any sort of signs of direction and sense of purpose?
I would say it was when I was 19, hey. Yeah, it was that...
That's when
I worked for immigration. I was away for 10 weeks. I think it was 10 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks.
So maybe skinny, eh?
Yeah, I was 57 kilos at 19 years old. Yeah. And due to bad habits and sickness and a lot of drugs. A lot of drugs and partying and ended up getting whooping cough.
Biggest sickness was sick. I can't, I'm gonna say the C word, audience. Sick cunt.
Yeah, I was just fully sick. You know, I was just fully sick to the point I was 57 kilos. But and I started working for immigration. I was away from home in Derby, outside Broome, middle of nowhere, where I had no phone reception or internet or anything. So the only time I could talk to family as well, I had to go to like a payphone. I had to go on a specific computer that I had to pay money to get on the internet. Blah blah blah. But the separation between the environment back home and me moving away, it created space for me. And I started reading books. I started reading Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, and the one by the Dalai Lama, is The Happiness or something.
Yeah, the one with happiness.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. I can't believe I lost it. But anyway, damn it.
I'm trying to think of it.
Yeah, it annoys me. Anyway, I talk about so often, I can't believe I forgot it. But yeah, I did all those, and then I started exercising properly and trying to gain weight because I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder because I had to run in with one of the guys there. The Art of Happiness, yeah.
Is that a good book?
Great book.
I'd give
highly recommend it, yeah. Especially if Buddhism, it's a really good read. And I then started meditating and journaling as a just intuitive practice. I would literally sit in my bedroom by myself. I would start writing my thoughts in a book, or turn the lights off and lay down on the floor, arms open, and just lay there with my eyes closed in a meditative state, and just kind of listened and observed and self-regulated, breathed, and it was just an intuitive practice. And 10 weeks of that changed my life. It honestly changed everything for me. I found a level of peace and centeredness. I was able to self-regulate myself. I gained 14 kilos in that time period as well, just from eating and training. And during all that and writing and reading books, I came to the realization that what I wanted to do was what these books were bringing me. It was, I wanted to do health and fitness, of course, because that was extremely important. Because if we have a poor vessel home, that's going to go outwards in other areas. And then what these books were teaching me were changing my life. Even when I was 19, by that point, I was already I don't know if I had finished my counseling or was in the process of doing my counseling at that time. It was a very similar time frame. And so I already had an understanding of psychology, but it was very westernized. It was very like, if this is happening, do this. And it was like, do these practices, blah, blah, blah. But what Man's Search for Meaning taught me was the philosophical meaning of life and the symbolizations and the meanings we make of life. And that's when I started diving into like Carl Jung and other things. But that's when I realized that this is my purpose. This is what I want to do.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on Man's Search for Meaning? Just give the listeners a bit of an idea of like what that book is or where it comes from. Yeah.
So Viktor Frankl was a psychologist, psychoanalyst, or whatever they're calling back then. And it was during the concentration camps, during the German times and what have you.
Yeah. So he was in one, wasn't he?
He was he was in a concentration camp.
He was a Jewish psychologist, I believe.
Yeah. And so he was locked up, and obviously absolute hell for him and everyone around him. And he, during that time, will witness people that were resilient and never gave up. No matter what, you could never break them. They were barely fed. They were overworked every single day, no sleep. The conditions, like infections, were terrible. People even just being shot and killed and dying from fatigue. But the difference he noticed was the people that were resilient and just no matter what, they couldn't break, and they were able to just continue to do labor work. And the people that would just die, people that just fall dead from fatigue or never wake up. It was literally like just gone. And during that experience, he noticed the difference between the people that were just passed away and left this world and the people that were resilient and were unbreakable was a meaning. And it was like whether it's someone that wanted to get home to their dog. He tells a story about one of the people who was in concentration camp with that had a dog, and this person just wanted to get home to their dog. Or whether it's like Viktor Frankl's, which is wild to read the book, but the book was a part of the reasoning. He wanted to live on to share that insight, that he realized that the real power of life is having meaning. It's having purpose behind life, because if you don't, the opportunity of you to just drop dead is far greater than if you do. You know, and obviously in the extreme of a concentration camp, but I think that plays out in our lives. It's the people that actually show up and show up for themselves and the people around them and make healthier choices that are in alignment with them, are the people that have meaning. There's a purpose behind it. And the people that don't, the people that let their love for themselves and the people around them and their health just fall, they lack meaning.
Yeah.
They lack the chunking up, the vision.
Well, they lack I'd even say they lack the sense of meaning, because we actually all have the meaning. Well, I believe we all have meaning. Whether we want to let either that meaning, the power of that meaning, or the pain of the lack of the pain from lack of direction. You know, that lostness that people feel. Because I feel that was one of the biggest things that drove me to help me find that sense of meaning was my I didn't really know what I wanted, but I knew what I didn't want.
Yes. Yeah.
And that helped drive a lot of my behavior. It helped me embrace the grind, embrace the loneliness that I felt, and the challenges that I felt when I was, going from friendship circle to friendship circle, not really feeling like I could fully fit in and mesh with people, and that the aimlessness and the purposelessness gave me a sense of purpose. I was like, you know what? I'm like, I know I don't want to be here, and I really believe that I could have anything in life. Yeah. I just I don't know where it came from. I always knew that I just had to go get it. Like whatever I wanted, anyone I was jealous of, all I knew that it was only a matter of it's a matter of hours and a matter of work that was separating me between the guy driving the BMW, or the guy with the hot misses, or the guy with the career, or like the one that charismatic guy that everyone used to be around. Like all those people I used to get jealous of. I'm like, no, I genuinely believe I could do that. And it was, but the thing that drove me, people like when I was younger, people like, man, you're so motivated. And deep down I was like, because I fucking hate my life, and that helped. And it served me until it stopped serving me, which was, I tell a story of a friend of mine and a client of mine. He called me up, and I think I've actually mentioned this story in the podcast before, but he's in the fitness industry, and he's been managing multiple gyms, and he's like, I've got another job offer. Like, what do you reckon I should do? And I'm like, well, what do you want? And he's like, I don't want to be poor. And I'm like, well, that's that is fine. That is good. However, that is not an accurate enough statement to give you the sense of direction that you're asking me for, because I can give you my feedback and my opinion, but you need to connect to your compass.
Yeah, what is wealth? What is richness? What is that to you?
Exactly right. Yeah. And I'm like, right now, you're the equivalent of a blind grasshopper. That like if you poke a grasshopper, it'll just leap.
Yeah.
Because that's discomfort for that grasshopper, right? So it doesn't want to be just being poked by some giant human finger.
Yeah.
So you poke it and it's got to jump. But then I said to him, because all you want to do is not be poor, anytime there's an opportunity to not be poor, you're just going to jump at that. But because you don't have a sense of like, I want to not be poor rather than I want to be wealthy. And it's like, how do you want to make that wealth, and how do you intend on creating that wealth, and how do you intend on creating that life? Because you don't have enough guiding points to actually give you direction of what direction to jump towards. You know what to jump away from, but you don't know what to jump before. And I found, he found my line of questioning very helpful for him. And then me going through that line of questioning helped me then like apply that to myself. And I'm like, where am I just running away from pain? And I don't know where the original quote comes from, but I heard this on Chris Williamson's podcast, The Modern Wisdom. And he referenced... and I'm referencing Chris Williamson, who was referencing Jordan Peterson about the motivation study with mice, where it was something along the lines of the mice had to navigate a mouse the mice had to navigate a maze, a mouse,
many miles.
They had to navigate a maze to find a thing, to find the cheese or whatever. Yeah. And they actually found it fast. The fastest times that were recorded when they had the smell of a cat being put behind them, whatever. And it was to illustrate that we are most motivated when we position ourselves between something that we want and something we don't want. That's the thing, because we can be motivated by negative things or we can be motivated by positive things. And what seems to be science's recommendation is that we are most optimally motivated when we're motivated by both. We put ourselves in between pain and pleasure and find that direction, because then this is me figuring things out as I say it, but I imagine that the pain gives us the power, and it gives us the drive. It gives us the impulse to want to move, and the direction, the thing that we want. The thing that we want gives us the direction. It gives us the navigation to go move towards. So
it makes it so much sweeter, right? When you've overcome something that's challenging, that brings pain, that you want to move away from, with also creating enlightenment in that area by finding the polarizing thing that we want to move towards.
Absolutely.
It's a great ROI, a great return on investment. You get to remove something that's painful while also finding joy. Like that sounds great to me.
I really it makes so much sense. I'm like, I need to fucking write this shit down tonight. You know, like all these questions are actually helping me figure out a lot of the things that I was challenged by before. Is like, okay, like, do I just go home and chill out and play some games because that's what I feel like doing in that moment, or do I keep grinding and just like fall in love with that? You know, and I'm like, it gives me an opportunity to be like, what don't I want, and what do I want, and then what's the optimal way to make that a reality, and then and I think I can do that tonight, actually. All I was going to do is fucking cook some food and make some coconut water and all that. And
nice.
Yeah. We've got probably about 10 minutes before we wrap up this podcast.
Yeah.
Should we just like rapidly just go through one?
Yeah, let's just smash it.
Should we just, do you have a lightweight one in one of yours?
Yeah, just like basic habits. Like, what are your top 3 habits?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Should we do that one?
Yeah.
I'm kind of, that would be cool. That's the wrong one. 50-50 chance. Yeah, 3 top habits. So I've riffed off my ones just to give you context of how I was thinking about it. Super easy. But mine was just like get movement in, be mindful of nutrition, good quality and quantity, and a meditative practice. They're just like, if I could only do 3 habits, like 3 areas of life that I have to do every single day and focus on, that will give me the best ROI, it'll be those 3. The reason why I want to ask that question as well, just to get idea of where your head's at, but also to give people an idea of like what are the top hierarchies. I think a lot of people really struggle with what to focus on and what to do. And I think it's very contextual to you. However, there's certain habits that I think if you're not focusing on, everything else is so much harder. Like I think it's so hard to try and go out and do what you like, get what you want to get, and be disciplined if you're not able to self-regulate and breathe and relax and deal with the resistance and challenges of every day. So that's why I think meditation is so important.
Yeah.
Same thing as nutrition. Like if you're inflamed, if you have bad gut health, if you feel uncomfortable in your body, then you're going to have charisma, and that's going to impact breathing and posture, which then impact testosterone and confidence to do what you want to do. And it's going to impact your sleep and your mood. And then exercise, movement, because the tissue, not only from a sense of being strong and being able to move and be injury free or injury resilient, not pain resilient, I guess. But also the impact that tissue has on the endocrine system, our organs and our hormones, because they're all intertwined with bone and our organs, and all that impacts our gut health and our testosterone, estrogen, mood, neurotransmitters, everything. So I just kind of wanted to spit that out as a little bit of a random fact, or my belief system around these things anyway. But if you were to choose like 3 habits or 3 areas, what would be your like top priorities?
A couple of things I'll say before I share my answer is that, like, first, listening to that, like my actual top 2 habits are, if you like, based on my actual habit tracker, are my cold showers and my daily cars, because that's I'm on 1,700 days on one and 1,100 something days on my daily cars. So as far as the actual habits go, those are my top 2. And my third one that was always after that was always like the meditation. But I find that I shift that through the day, that I removed it from my morning routine because I was getting stressed out by putting that in there. However, how I would actually answer that question is I would be answering something to do with mind, body, and soul. That's like the trifecta of, I've noticed that the thing that's been really valuable in my recent life is reprioritizing the battle between the head and the heart. And I know a lot of my issues and my challenges that I face every single day are always linked to the heart is telling me to do one thing, the mind is telling me to do something else, and there's that constant dialogue between what I want, what I think is right, et cetera, et cetera. And the other thing that I've noticed is that every time my heart's felt good and I've been in a space of happiness and I've felt really loving and compassionate towards everyone else, things have just gone smoother. Like I'm more responsive, people are more responsive to me. And when we talked before about zooming in, zooming out, because we are so, because life is just so fucking crazy and life is so complicated that to just give three simple habits might not cut the mustard. You know, it might not be enough for someone. So I would be putting something back out.
3 topics, but here's 9.
Yeah, 3 topics, but here's 9 is like, I'm guessing like zooming out, not give a real, I wouldn't say like, even though my top 2 habits are daily cars and cold showers, I wouldn't say someone should do those things.
See, I technically cheated because I clustered.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I think is the right piece of advice to do.
Cluster,
because if someone needs global, they need to make a lot of change within their life, them doing a morning routine is going to be super impactful. It doesn't matter what the fuck is in that routine, because it's not necessarily the nuances of what's in the routine that's going to impact them. It's the fact that they're adhering to structure. And so giving the advice, so when you zoom out and you give them a space to put in their own cluster, I actually think that's quite empowering. So, which is why, again, I'm kind of like, I don't know what my answer is, but it would be something for the mind, something for the body, something for the soul. And whatever that means to the individual, as long as you're ticking those boxes or maybe achieving a higher standard or on a daily basis finding your edge to allow both of all those things to at least grow, because part of what I believe is like the fundamental meaning of life is that we need to keep growing or adapting to our environment, because we are organisms, and organisms, if they're not growing, they're dying.
And everything's changing externally anyway, right? So if we don't adapt to the shifts around us, then we're probably going to be consumed.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so you know, how like 3 daily things to serve the mind, to serve the body, to serve the soul. Which, if I were to put that into something, to put something specific on it, mine would be something to either strengthen one's attitude, or their gratitude, attitude and gratitude, or just some sort of growth, whether it's actually learning something new or staying focused on something for the mind like that. For the body, it's always health and fitness orientated, like to just be healthy, whether it's eating healthy or exercising or adhering to a health-based routine. And then for the soul, that's where the purpose comes in. Something to ensure the heart is open, to make sure your relationships are healthy, make sure you have a strong sense of direction, or you're making the time to find a sense of direction or refine your sense of direction. That's what I mean about the what we would be doing for the soul, the mind, body, soul trifecta.
Love that. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, thank you.
Do you want to share with the audience what your what your mystery item is now?
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, it looks hilarious.
Oh, hold on. You
probably
get
need
that
to reset the timer.
One more reset.
All right, let's do it. All right, we back.
What do we got, Nav?
Mystery item.
Mystery item. It's a dildo.
Hey, it's so weird, eh?
It's a wobbly thing.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah, it's a twisting thing. It's a TheraBar or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, literally. So this one's called a Flex Bar.
Flex Bar.
By TheraBand. So to give everyone an idea, it's just like a plastic material that you could bend and you could talk.
Yeah.
But the idea behind it was like, I want a talk stick. I want a proper talk stick. You know the talk sticks where you would have
a talking stick.
Are you trolling me?
Oh, no, I got it wrong. I actually got it wrong. Yeah. Sorry.
I want people to shut up when I talk. So I got a talk stick.
That's what I meant by talking stick. But
no, hilarious.
Yeah.
I meant talk as in TORQUE.
Talk.
Yeah.
I should know that. I'm a mechanic.
Yeah. So creating talk with our body. But the talk sticks are longer. It's like you got plastic at both ends, like handles, and in between you would have like a spring, and you could squeeze the handles together, which will create torque, which then when you're doing it as you're holding it in your hands, and then you would have to create internal or external rotation.
Those things are fucking sick.
Yeah, and this give it a shot. It's a lot of fun. So I've just been messing around with it for fun, going into like shoulder extension as well while creating a rotation, and I've just been trying to break it even. Yeah, I've been doing stuff like that.
It is pretty soft though when you...
It is. And I think it's because it's so close.
I'm so fucking huge.
And it's so close as well.
I
think a proper talk stick, which will have more tension, will be far greater.
Yes.
But even just this little thing, it's just a lot of fun. So
it's fun to wiggle.
Yeah, I have been enjoying that as well. Yeah, I've been putting up my bum. But
nice.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
No.
I've been injured.
Yeah.
I've been injured. I've still been training
because...
bum
that's injured?
Yeah. For some reason, they coincide.
You're bending it before you put in?
For my party trick this weekend.
Who wants to see me stick the stick up my bum?
But... yeah, I've been using this because I have been doing some exercise, like whatever I can do with my injury, but my self.
Yes, yeah.
But I've been using this just to keep myself occupied.
Yep,
it's been a lot of fun.
That's quite fascinating, eh?
Yeah, I do want to get. I've been watching like strong camps and stuff like that.
I was just about to say, is that where you got it from? Him using it?
Yeah. And I was like, that'll be cool to get one. And then I talked to my client Tony, and then Tony had one, so she just brought it to me.
Yeah.
While she's on holiday, so I've been playing around with it.
I know we don't talk to Joel that much, but he's got a set.
I have thought about that.
Yeah. You're like fucking Joel.
Yeah.
He's ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. For the audience that don't know what we were holding, think of something the size of like an average zucchini, and it's just it's shaped like maybe like a licorice lolly. Licorice, but the size of a zucchini. So imagine a zucchini-sized licorice, but it's all rubber, and it's it's just bendy.
Yeah.
Just bendy.
Yeah.
Like it's honestly like I made a dildo joke, but it's a little dildo-esque. Not that I have a lot.
Oh, it moves. It moves like it.
It wibbles and wobbles.
Not I have a lot. I have 10, but that's not much.
That's a huge one, eh? That's a massive. That's like 10 times above average, right?
Okay, what's your mystery item?
I believe this is called a zabuton.
A zabuton.
Is it a zabuton?
I have no idea, to be honest. It's just a meditation, Jerry.
Yeah, it is. It's a meditation cushion.
Yeah.
But one's called a zabuton and one's called a zabuton. Zabuton. One's called Oh no, it is. It is a zabuton. It's actually a Japanese. It's called zabuton. Is a sitting futon, but it comes in a pair of I'll try and figure this out. There's two names. No, it's not a zabuton. Zabuton's a cushion. It's a square cushion that you sit on.
Yeah.
But then the actual meditation, zafu. It's a zafu. You've got a zafu and a zabuton. So I'm holding a zabuton. No.
No, zafu.
I'm holding up a zafu, which is just a circular-sized cushion.
Yeah.
Little beanbag cushion. Maybe the similar shape to a melting moment. Without it's a bit melting moment-ish without the gaps in the middle. And
like it's a squash, the vegetable that's like yellow, kind of pops out.
Yeah, I guess you could call it pretty
it's a large one.
Yeah, a more rounder squash, but it is that. It's that shape. So it's a little cushion of that shape. But then you can also get a zabuton, which is basically just a square cushion.
Yeah.
Which you then sit on. So they actually come paired, and it just raises your hips up so that you can sit on it for longer. So, I have recently joined the Buddhist Society of Western Australia. I'm officially a member, and that just gives me access to many of their events and many of their meetups, because I'm actually proactively leaning into Buddhism just because I'm interested in it. I don't intend on becoming a Buddhist, but I love Buddhism and I really want to learn to understand that more. And also, based on my own personal growth journey, especially with meditation and the introduction, after doing the silent retreat and the introduction of the 60-minute seated meditations that I'm going to be doing weekly, that I have been doing weekly actually, having a proper dedicated meditation cushion is the thing that I wanted Santa to give me, and Santa did. It was actually what do you call my brother's wife?
Sister-in-law.
My sister-in-law.
I thought you were like an elf.
An elf.
I was thinking Christian terms.
A piece of shit. No, I'm kidding. I love it. A piece of shit. She got it for me, which is super awesome. So,
that's sick. Yeah, that's great. That's a good gift.
Yeah, and I wanted to just share that because that meditation is a thing that serves. And it is meditation, but it's actually the choosing to be with silence. If I were to... That's the kind of the takeaway that I wanted the audience to take away. The takeaway that I wanted the audience to take away from.
Like to choose stillness, to choose peace, to choose calm.
Exactly right. Yeah. And there are a couple of my topics that didn't come up that do relate to that. But with getting my kneecap done on the week on 2 days ago, kneecaps fucking hurt. Kneecaps fucking hurt when they're getting tattooed. And my recent experience with 60-minute meditations I was literally laying there, I'm like, man, I'm so glad I've been meditating for 60 minutes because I just meditated. I literally just went in the zone, just stopped talking, and like it was quite painful, but I didn't have to like squirm and you know, and people were messaging me like, man, fuck, you got your kneecap tattooed. Like, man, that was the worst thing that ever happened to me. That was my most hardest tattoo. And I'm like, look, it was hard, but it didn't look like it was hard. If you were watching me get the tattoo, for most of it, I was holding conversation, getting through it. But I was just really good at regulating the nervous system, and I got through it fine. I got through it so fine that I don't know if I do want to do it, but I'm actually a little inspired to want to get my other kneecap tattooed now, just because I realize like how tough it makes me look. So yeah, that's my mystery item, is a meditation cushion.
Sick.
So in summary, thanks very much for listening to the show. Viktor Frankl's book is called The Man's Search for Meaning. Also, turns out Viktor Frankl has the same birthday as me.
Oh, there you go.
And also, super fascinatingly, him and his wife died on the exact same year. And I really wonder how much there was a link between that and
meaning.
Yeah. When your partner goes, do you still have that meaning, or anyway. Anyway, so that's what was the other book that you referenced?
Art of Happiness?
That's the Dalai Lama's Art of Happiness.
Lama. Yeah, cool. Yeah, and then The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, by Dan Millman, which is really good.
By Dan Millman, Way of the Peaceful Warrior.
Highly rate that.
Yeah,
it's a series of books. There's a movie out of it as well.
Oh,
cool. It's a decent movie. Yeah, it's a pretty decent movie.
And Zabuton and Zafu.
Yeah. Which one do you have?
I've got a Zafu.
Hey.
Zavuton. All right, beautiful, everyone. Thanks very much for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Peace out. Much love. Bye.
Goodbye.